Zen says, let's do this.
She's a lot more enthusiasm than I feel.
Yeah, so you're getting sick. I didn't sleep much last night.
I didn't sleep well. I had like all these body aches, which like should have been a clue to me that I was getting sick. I'm like, why do I hurt so much? Like my hands hurt and my shoulders hurt. It's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm sick.
Yeah. My youngest 10-year-old, he's been coughing up a storm. Lillian so far is all right, which is good because it's Thanksgiving break, and so it's time to fulfill our promise to her of letting her paint her room, like redo her walls.
What color did she pick?
Like very, very close to what the walls look like now. It's going more because like our walls are kind of like a bluish, and she's like or maybe even teal. I don't know. And then she's shifting it more towards the green, but it'll make it easy to cover it up with fewer coats. So
yeah, well, it makes her happy, so whatever.
Got all the stuff off the walls. We're gonna do one wall at a time. I don't have to do much. I did all the tall people things, like taping off things. I'll probably have to cut in for the ceiling, and then when it comes time to move the fish tank away from the wall and get all that covered up, I'll do that.
Well, that's good. I have people coming for Thanksgiving. I have my friend Jenny and her boyfriend Mike and his son Preston. And I haven't seen Preston since he was a lot smaller because now he's a giant teenager. I'm like, I've got to cook twice as much food. He's a massive teenage boy. He's going to be hungry.
Yep.
I know.
You should get some steroids in you before they come. Maybe help you get through the day.
I know. I mean, I have a couple days to rest up and yeah.
Look at everybody using the new pink flamingo members icon.
And Scotty's like, if I eat more veggies, maybe I wouldn't get sick as much. I didn't eat that many veggies in Germany, and look what happened to me.
There you go.
I know. Jake and I were both just like desperate for vegetables at the end. He's like, you have to make us vegetables when we get back. Like so many vegetables. We just wanted a salad. It's just so heavy.
Y'all did like a lot of, I guess, dining out.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like we're not used to eating out for all of our food. Like I cook all my meals.
It's always a lot of heavy food. Yeah.
Yeah, I only go out to eat on Saturdays. I always cook all my food stuffs. So, I do need a good feed of kale. I don't even like kale, but I should put some kale in the Vitamix and go to town. I have like 2 pounds of spinach in the fridge. I should just have a spinach smoothie.
Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. Look at that, 35 months.
That sounds
almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years. I know. It's got to be any day now is 3 years because I joined both your channels within, I don't know if the same day or within a day or two. I mean, I'm one of the first ones.
It was pretty close, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Also, Secret Santa. Did you get your Secret
Santa? I got
assignment?
mine, and I'm very excited about it. It's not a person I know very well, like personally. No, I know them, but we're not close. So it's
they're part of the community.
Yeah, so it's a nice way to reach out to a person I'm not close to, and show them a little love. So I'm excited about it. Yeah.
I mean, that's the fun of it too.
Yeah. Yeah, it is the fun of it. So, and they requested handmade goods. So I guess I better get to work. Maybe not today though. So, but yeah, so I hope lots of people are excited about their Secret Santa. And I mean, I know that everybody had lots of fun with it last year. So
Oh yeah.
too late to sign up if you didn't sign up.
Assignments went out last night. It's when I got my email.
That's right. So, you know, outside in,
And
can we send those presents out immediately? Yeah, I think so.
yep. I
Yeah,
think it's Mike said happy Secret Santa shopping day. So yep.
yeah, I mean,
Get
I'm
on
not
it.
going to. I need a little time, but
Mhm.
you know, it's yeah. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's always a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it last year, and I got really just such thoughtful gifts, and I, had a good time. So,
Mike accepts bribes for late sign-ups.
What do we bribe Mike with? Just a big slab of meat and some beer. That's what he
More
wants.
plants.
Some more plants.
Candy's
Candy's doing it
excited.
this year. That's great. And I saw that Cichlids 23 or Paramore is also doing it. That's exciting. And,
Very cool.
I think that your boss is maybe doing it too. I heard. So,
That would be cool. So
yeah. So lots of people are doing it. Mike accepts ass cash.
cash or grass. Mike would like aquarium seeds. That's right.
It was
Yes.
like aquarium seeds.
Seeds of despair.
I wonder if anyone ever just sells like chia seeds to grow in their aquarium. If so, like I have pounds of them because I eat chia seeds every day. And
I'm sure someone has tried that in their tank.
It's a terrible idea. Like I tried to feed my rainbows some chia seeds one night and they didn't care. It's
If you didn't have fish in a tank, how much CO2 could you get into that water to grow something that's just not meant to grow underwater, like chia seeds?
There's only so much CO2 that water can dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably not a whole lot more than we inject anyways. CO2 is just not that soluble in water. It's temperature dependent. So if you don't have any inhabitants in your tank, keep it as cool as possible. And lower KH will do better. But you could probably get up to at least 40 ppm, I bet. Maybe 50 ppm. Still not as much as atmospheric.
I mean, you remember Tom Barr was talking about one of his tanks where he was testing each end, like extreme end, and was getting it up to like 100.
Yeah, it depends on the temperature. Isn't it like Boyle's law? Like it depends the solubility of a gas in water, so it's atmospheric pressure and.
Or is that Henry's law?
I thought it was Boyle's.
Or Henry's law is partial pressure of CO2. Something to
Maybe
something.
it's Henry's law. It's been a long time.
Some dude. Some dude made a law.
Nancy, don't give away who your Santa person is.
Mm-hmm.
But Nancy did not get Mike as her giftee. So what's she going to do with all these seeds? I don't know. I don't know. Plant them yourself and enrage Mike.
I don't know if you were lurking on Friday when we learned that the gifted memberships have a cap, like on my channel.
Yeah,
there was
wow.
An attempt to give me more gifted memberships, and they just stopped. Same thing happened on Foxy's channel too.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm noticing that every single person commenting is a member or a mod and a member. Like, I don't know. Is Fishfam Link a member? I don't know. Maybe not that, but they are a bot.
They're a brand, yeah. Well, if they're a branded account,
they're branded, so they can't. Which
maybe.
So yeah, but
however that works.
How many members do you have?
298. Actually, 297. So I guess one of them expired. But yeah, 298 was the peak. On Friday night.
Oh, Candy got the last one.
Yeah, she went ahead and enabled gifts, and it went through.
Ah, that's awesome. That's good. That's good. Yeah,
So
I saw that Corey tried to give some absurd number of memberships.
yeah, as soon as I said, man, I'm gonna have some issues growing all these plants when I do the
I
mini
know.
plant
He's like,
farm, and it's like
he's
what Jeff Kane has done in the past too. Is just like get that plant farm
well,
going.
if Corey wants you to have a plant farm, maybe he needs to get the liter size or the giant size of Easy Green. I mean,
Still waiting for IBC totes of Easy Green.
I know.
I just have auto dosers like drawing straight from the tote.
Yeah. Oh, my Chihiro's light has shipped because I ordered
Yay.
it directly from Chihiro's because nobody else had it in stock that I could find. So I ordered it directly from Chihiro's.
That's
And
good.
it is shipped. And I've ordered from Chihiro's before. And I mean, it ships from China, but it ships pretty quick. So I should see it. I don't know.
And they send you American plug, right? Like you can
Yeah, you get
choose
to
which one.
choose you get to choose your region's plug. They have Europe and Australia. I have no clue what Australia's plug looks like. So yeah, so it's not that big of a deal to order from them. I mean, I've never ordered a light directly from Chihiro's, but I have ordered intakes, and they came pretty quick. So I mean, I would rather buy them from Aqua Rocks, Colorado, because I really like that store and I like to support a business.
Yeah.
But they don't sell them, and I just don't know what else to get.
Well,
It's
you
just kind of
wanted
the devil.
to
The devil,
rage at another app, rage another app, you get the weak aqua.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that because I hate that app. And I don't mind going appless because apps don't really make my life better. But I want it to be dimmable. I don't need
Dimmable and ramp up. Ramp up is good for the
I mean,
rainbows.
ramp up is nice for the rainbows. But dimmable is kind of a non-starter, and it wasn't clear to me that like the ONF flat white or flat lights or like Twin Star that they had that feature. It just wasn't clear. So
Be
it was just
crazy if
kind of
they
the devil
didn't.
so I just bought it.
Because I mean, when you're like doing high end planted tanks, like dialing in the light is sort of crucial.
Yeah. And so I got the Series 10 or something, like the newest Chihiros. It's supposed to be light or brighter than the Chihiros I have.
Yeah, it also, I think it has an extra spectrum adjustment. I forgot what it is on it, but so instead of having RGBW, it's like RGBW and something else, and I don't remember what.
Just
So
more making my life hard.
have fun with that.
God, we'll expect to get questions, even though you don't have it. You're gonna have to help me. So
brighter than the well, I mean, I guess brighter is good because you're putting it on the 90. But I'm just thinking
brighter is
than what
good
than the
because I'm
normal
hoping I can
Chihiros.
get away with one fixture because it's like $500.
Well, the weak aqua is not as bright as the regular Chihiros, and I have one on the 90, and of course I have it at 100% during the peak period, and like
and I will
certainly
too.
For you probably want two of the weak aqua, so I think it would be nice if it went a little bit brighter for certain plants, but I think you'll be okay with just one prism.
Yeah, I mean that would be good, and it comes with legs. So because you want to raise it up a little bit so it has some
more spread.
Yeah, because the light is like a pyramid shape at the beam of light. And so you want to raise it up a little bit so you get coverage from front to back of your tank.
It's the P900 is what I have, Geek. Or P, whatever it is. It's the PP one.
And I have nothing against the Weak Aqua. I just can't deal with a worse app than the Heroes because I hate that app. Oh, so Nat sent me as a question: planted tanks with Undergravel filters, yay or nay?
That's a new name too. Welcome in.
Welcome. I have used Undergravel filters when I was a kid, and I'm pretty old. Just to give you some some experience or some insight. Didn't grow plants with them when I was a kid. Lights weren't very good back in the 80s. So we tried to grow plants, but we couldn't. I've heard of other people doing it. I would say that it's not ideal because it's always going to be roots tangling in your filter. And like I do remember when I was a kid, we had these Undergravel filters, and every year to clean them, we would tear down the tank, take all the gravel out, and like clean 90% of it.
I've never used one, and so I can't answer this at all. But
Yeah.
are you supposed to clean them? Are you supposed to break them down and clean them?
I mean, they didn't have gravel vacs back then, so that's what we did. So I think that you need to gravel vac them. And the gravel vacuuming with a bunch of roots is kind of a pain in the ass. I mean, people do it, they'll grow fine, but it's not, there's a reason not many people do it, and it's because it's not ideal, because plants have roots. Now, if you want to grow a bunch of epiphytes, which I love epiphytes, Java ferns, Anubias, spruce, that's not a problem at all. So maybe choose your plants and choose more epiphytes, which those are awesome plants. You're not going to feel missing out on that.
For sure.
Yeah. Moose says Kelly remembers when a pack of cigarettes was I don't think I'm quite that old.
He said you're 75.
75.
And Mike says, but the anoxicity, isn't that like not anoxic at all if you've got water flow going through?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole reason why you're supposed to clean you're supposed to either vacuum, or like what we did was every year we would take all the gravel out,
bleach everything.
No, we wouldn't bleach it. We would just clean it with tap water, like about 90% of it, just like you would clean a filter, and then we would put it all back. So it was just like the yearly tank clean out. But thoroughly vacuuming it will do the same thing. But if you don't do that, you're not going to get flow through the Undergravel filter, and that kind of negates the whole purpose of the Undergravel filter. So, I mean, but people do it. I would just choose more epiphytes is what I would do.
So Michael is asking, for the Nylock G GH booster, salts or liquid, is there a difference besides the form it comes in? Is one better? I don't think there's a difference other than the fact that when you buy the liquid, like calcium sulfate, like those sulfate salts, their solubility is not that great. There's only so much concentration you can get into liquid. So you are paying for a lot of liquid. And I was using liquid for a while, but I have 20 tanks and I do lots and lots and lots of water changes every week. And I have 0 GH in my water. So it was getting a little much to have to buy the liquid. So it's really just getting the salts is just a better value. It does kind of cloud the tank a little bit on water change day because, calcium sulfate is not the most soluble thing in the world, but it does, like, overnight, especially if you like kind of make sure it's crushed in the powder form, it will dissolve overnight.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not a product I've ever used. I've always had water with GH in it, so I can't really tell you on that. Kind of just depends how many tanks you have. If you have like 2 20-gallon tanks, then just buy the liquid. Like, who cares? Like, it's just not that big of a deal. So, but for the rest of us,
yeah, for convenience, like I could do all the different fertilizer salts and whatnot, but like that with 20 tanks, that I have to like start mixing salts together or dosing different ones different days.
Right.
That's not, hell no.
The thing is like, you don't want to mix powders together because they're not going to mix evenly unless you have like a powder mill and you can mill them into a fine powder, which is like what we would do in the lab when we would make powdered media.
I'm not into the like fertilizer overthinking hobby. I'm into the, like, growing the plants.
I used to do it, back before there was something easy like Easy Green or not.
Yeah.
and I would just use kitchen measuring spoons, and I would measure scoops out, and I used a calculator, and it was really easy, but not as easy as Easy Green, you know? And I also don't want to think that hard, and I just fertilize when I feed, and I don't have to think about it. Some people make their own fertilizer stocks, and some people auto dose with that. If you have auto dosers, I don't know, maybe someday I'll have an auto doser, but I don't know. I'd have to be Jake setting it up because I'm not going to do it. Yeah.
Yep. So Big Steve is getting ready to tear down this tank. I guess his the tank from the skate contest, and add the stratum.
Oh,
Do you mix
nice.
anything else? Sand? No, you don't have to. Like
No, I
straight
don't.
stratum.
I don't recommend mixing it. I think it works a lot better if you don't mix it, because if you mix sand in, it has finer particles, and you're not going to get as much water flow through the substrate. So your roots won't have as much oxygen, and they don't grow as well. Not as much nutrients will get in, flow into the roots, because the whole point of having stratum is it has a high cation exchange capacity, which means it can take cations, which are metal ions, things like calcium, magnesium, out of your water column and adsorb them so they're available for the plants to use. Well, if you have a bunch of sand in there, you're not going to get a lot of water flowing in there. And I can't remember who, someone's website, they had it, and they were using, like, they had a tank of like just, I don't know if which aqua soil they used, if it was stratum or UNS contra soil, doesn't matter. You know, it had a certain particle size in aqua soil. And then they had aqua soil like capped with sand. And they took like some cotton saturated with food coloring, and they stuck it down in there. And in the aqua soil one, the blue dye all diffused out. But in the one capped with sand, it didn't go anywhere. And that's because you're just not getting the water flow through it. And that's why I know lots of people like to cap things with sand.
And eventually it does.
I don't like it.
Pretty
it does.
quickly, actually.
It's always going to mix eventually. And you're kind of undoing some of the nice points of the sand. It is a little easier to plant in sand. However, if you get some good tweezers, it's not hard. And if you have enough depth of the substrate, it makes it easier to plant too. If your substrate is only like an inch thick, it's a pain in the ass to plant it. But if it's like at least 3 inches thick, it's going to be easy to plant in. So no, I would just use it straight. Make sure you have a good layer. You know, at least 3 inches, a little more at the back, maybe.
Yep, I can go hella deep with substrates. Like I've that crypt tank with the puffers. I think that is like 5 inches of stratum in there, and it's fantastic. You can see the roots in the front. Like it's, I don't think it's really, it's not. I think it's probably done with the whole releasing hydrogen ions. Like it's not really doing much to my KH anymore, but you know, it's still just a nice fluffy substrate that's holding on to roots really well.
Yeah. And
it's been about 2 years, I think.
And I've actually, like, if I have a spot in my tank that's gotten a little thin, you know, just from like uprooting things or it breaking down over the years or just getting moved around, whatever, I'll actually add more to beef it up, just so I maintain that good layer. And Luke points out that you can plant in dry aqua soil. It makes it a little easier to plant. And that's valid too. You just have to make sure you keep it misted. George Farmer does it. I've done it both ways. I don't find it that different. Like,
no, not really.
Yeah, I mean, I find it, as long as you have good tweezers. And by the way, that's a really good present to get for someone for Secret Santa. Good tweezers, because we have oh god, I don't remember the brand I get. They're from Amazon though, and they're cheap.
The
UP Aqua. That's right. Sometimes Amazon has them in stock and sometimes they don't, but they're incredible. And like almost anyone would like a pair of them. And even if you already have a pair, you probably want a second. because like it's easy to lose tweezers for some reason. So, but I really like those.
So Mel would like to know, will lack of potassium cause stunted warped growth in plants or just the pinhole?
So pinholing, is it potassium? Is it something else? Is it lack of light? Is it lack of CO2? Is it lack of another nutrient? You can't say. It's a myth that lack of potassium causes pinholing. So these are the nutrients that plants need. Okay, number one, at the highest tier, what they need most of all, they need light and CO2. That's the most important. So getting enough of that is going to solve 3/4 of your battle. Then you have macronutrients, and they're NPK. N is the most important. That's adequate nitrogen. Then P is phosphorus. Then K is potassium. So it's the least important of the macronutrients. Then below that, you need micronutrients. The most important of those is iron. And then it's somewhat down the line for that. So is potassium important? Sure. But most problems in a planted tank are due to light problems or CO2 problems, because
and individual plants respond differently to nutrient deficiencies. Like it's per plant.
Right. And outside, most of your problems are due to light or watering. You know, CO2 isn't an issue outside, just like water is not an issue in our tank. But, you know, watering problems and light problems are the biggest problems outside. So, yeah, I mean, would I buy a separate potassium fertilizer? No, I wouldn't. If my plants needed more fertilizer, I would just give them more of a general fertilizer and it would be fine. I don't dose separate. That kind of like abrogates the whole point of using an all-in-one, right? Like if I wanted to dose 29 different things, I would just dose dry. So Alec points out calcium. Calcium is a micronutrient.
Yeah, calcium, magnesium.
Yeah, they're micronutrients.
It's like calcium, magnesium, manganese, boron, barium. I mean,
copper. They need a tiny bit of copper. So I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of things that plants need as micronutrients, but those are not as important as the macronutrients, which are not as important as carbon, so CO2, and light. And water is important too, but that's just not important. In a planted tank, they have all the water.
Yeah, water's always been my issue with terrestrial plants.
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, I mean, because watering too much, watering too little, you know, watering too not consistently. And outside, you know, farmers like getting consistent rain is always an issue, or too much rain, too little rain. So, you know, but for us, like, you know, balancing CO2 and balancing light is the most important thing. So if you have pinholes in your Java ferns, and I've had shitty looking Java ferns before, and to me, it just means that you need more fertilizer in general. If you're running CO2, if you're not running CO2, Java ferns grow really, really, really slow.
Yep. And if you try to up the light and grow them fast, then
or give them more potassium, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
They get very sad with lack of carbon and too much light.
Yeah, but if you give Java ferns CO2, they grow actually pretty fast, and they will look trashed unless you give them enough nutrients. And that just means they need more fertilizer in general. Is it necessarily potassium? Nah, I don't know. But they probably just need more. So would I not buy? I would not buy Easy Potassium. No, I wouldn't. I mean, I don't think it's a bad product. I just don't think it's necessary. I think Easy Green is a much better product. And I think it's going to solve all of your fertilization problems.
Yeah, when I add the GH boost as well, like the GH boost powder has potassium with it, and so I never have to take potassium at all.
Yeah.
It's always there in abundance. So I just want to say thanks to Big Steve for being a member for 19 months.
Yeah.
And then Luke saying those two are unfortunately synonymous at some point. I think he was talking about the like being in the fertilizer hobby and the plant hobby. Like I mean, there are tanks where I am double dosing the recommended weekly dose of Easy Green or 2 2 times a week dose. I double dose it daily. I will, like, if there's a deficiency, I will just add more of that. Like, I just can't be bothered with the powders. I went down that road, and then what ends up happening is I become way less consistent with dosing fertilizer.
Yeah,
Because I just don't want to mess with it. Don't want to bother with it.
I get that. I'm pretty good about fertilizing. I fertilize whenever I feed. So, but I chew down a lot more fertilizer than most people because look at all the immersed plants I have. I mean,
yeah,
they really suck it down. And Whip says that I need to go lie down with a hot bowl of soup before I get the whole classic. I've got soup, Whip, and I'm going to eat it after this. Yeah.
So Geek Boy has been dumb for 35 months. I think he's been dumb a lot longer than that, but
well, ask his wife. I mean. All right.
Oh, Nancy. I saw on Facebook someone was using rabbit pellet for ferts. Is that Wet Your Plants approved?
It is not. I will say so. I mean, I had a bunny. She just passed away last year, and she did make just a stunning amount of fertilizer. I have been told that rabbit pellets are the one manure that you don't need to pre-compost before you use it in your outdoor garden. I don't know how true that is. I would still compost. I would have composted what I had just because it was in bedding. Like she had like a wood shaving bedding, and I would want to compost that before I put it in my garden. Would I put it in my tank? No, I wouldn't, because your garden outside is not a closed system. It is an open system. You have, feet of soil beneath your topsoil. You have it. Your garden is huge compared to your tank. Your tank is this little teeny tiny closed system. I would not put poop in a closed system. You're adding a lot of waste that's organic waste, and you don't want to add organic waste to a tank. You want to remove organic waste. So
yeah.
I know you're being facetious, Nancy, because I know you would never do that. But no, don't do that. And I think that, I say this probably every week. Aquariums are closed systems. If
They
you
require
want,
humans to make things happen.
yeah, it's just like I can't grow enough food in my tank to feed my fish. Like, even if I have a refugium underneath that I'm culturing, I don't know, Daphnia in there, I still am probably gonna have to feed them because it's a closed system. So you have to add energy and you have to take it out. So yeah. Adsorb versus absorb. Well, so adsorb means that it's something on this, it's a surface interaction on it that can exchange. Absorb means it's like taken up into the matrix. So a sponge absorbs water because it takes it up into the whole matrix of it. Whereas we talk about like cation exchange capacity adsorbing because it's a surface interaction.
Thank you, Moose, for being a member for 8 months. 8 months of hanging around, waiting for the next song. Gonna be waiting a long time. I gotta wait for the AI bubble. Waiting for the AI bubble to burst too.
I don't know. I kind of feel like this is no shade against people who make AI songs because it brings them great joy and they like doing it. But I don't know. It's just not as fun anymore as like knowing like the love that you would put into writing your own songs. And
there's a
but people enjoy it and people should have fun with it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And you can add a lot of creativity around it too.
You can. It's a
also
tool.
Suno, the AI song generator, just came out with version 4, and it is so much better too. Like, it's just getting scarily better than the last
right
iteration.
now, they sound so bad, and they sound like just like nails on a chalkboard. They're auto-tuned so hard. I mean, I know they bring people great joy, and if it makes you happy, you should do it. But God, I just don't like them. But maybe the new version I would like.
I mean, remember, AI is as bad as it's ever going to be right now. So
yeah.
Liebig's law of minimum. Yep. Yep. Growth is limited by its scarcest nutrient. Let's see.
So Mike asks, so does activated carbon adsorb or absorb the liquid ferts I put in my aquarium? Right? It would be adsorbed. It's a surface interaction, and it's not absorbing your fertilizers.
Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about that.
Because the thing is it becomes adsorbed so quickly with everything that it's just not an issue. I mean, carbon is good in your tank for almost no time before it's completely adsorbed. Does plant color happen like a sunburn, or is the plant grown? Like if it grows green, can it change color, or does it have to have light to express it as it grows? So, I mean, plants create, they create like anthocyanins, which are a red compound in response to light. So it kind of shades the plant. So it's like a natural sunscreen. It's not really a sunburn, like, because for us a sunburn is damage, right? It's skin damage, and it's an inflammation response to damaged skin. So your skin is it's injured, whereas the plant, it's not necessarily injured. It's not, plants don't have an inflammation response, but they do have immune responses. But there's gene expression that happens to express those anthocyanin pigments as the plant grows. So, the cells can express those genes in response to more light.
Okay. So Mel would like to know if you have a craptastic load of Anubias. I have the all-in-one and easy potassium from Co-op. I don't run CO2. Corey says if you have a ton of Anubias, you may need extra potassium. I mean, what's already in your water too? Like,
I thinned out my Anubias, but like this tank, I had patches of Anubias non petite, like the size of basketballs. I have a huge patch in here. It's just not an issue. It's just, and Anubias is such a slow growing plant that it's really not using that much Anubias compared to, I bet that like Hygrophila Sunset uses way more potassium because it's so fast growing. Anubias grows hardly at all, even with CO2. So, I mean, if you want to use easy potassium, it's probably fine. But you're just making your water more expensive. Whereas,
well, yeah, it just depends on, like, I am in that unique position where I have to add GH boost, and the powders come with the potassium, so I might as well use that because there's no potassium in my tap water, and that's usually, unless you have a lot of fertilizer runoff water, like you have Zen's water, Houston water, you probably don't have much potassium in your water to begin with. Potassium is also one of the least soluble nutrients in like in liquid, or like for an all-in-one fertilizer.
But you just don't need it. Well, that's not necessarily true. It depends on the salt of potassium that you're using. So like potassium chloride is really, really soluble.
Oh yeah, so
it's
I think
super soluble, and I've used
sulfate one is like super not
and I've used
soluble.
Potassium nitrate, and potassium nitrate is super soluble too. I mean, they're as soluble as table salt is, so it's really not an issue at all. What I'm saying is, like, Easy Green has enough for you. Especially
That's
if you're not running
because
CO2, you really aren't using much at all. And Anubias doesn't use that much because it grows slowly. And if you don't have CO2, Anubias grows really slowly.
Soluble potash is what's in liquid ferts, and that is chloride, isn't it?
I don't think so. I think it's potassium sulfate, but it's soluble. It's soluble. You don't need to worry about it. And the thing is this, your plants need all those nutrients. So if it's short on potassium, it's probably short on something else too. So you could give it more easy green, and it would give you what you needed. but you probably don't need that. If you want your Anubias to look better, there is but one route for you to take, and that is CO2. I mean, because that is what your plants are short on. You know, it used to be like light was a big problem before these LED lights came out.
Now we got all the light.
Now we got all the light. I mean, I'm talking about $500 Chihiro's fixtures, you know, like it's just not a problem anymore. The problem now is CO2. You know, you could either reduce your KH, that's going to help. So if you did RO water, but really like injecting CO2 is, yeah. I mean, I kind of want people to stop freaking out about potassium and start freaking out about CO2, because that's what's going to make your plants look better. If you want great looking plants,
yeah, it all starts
CO2.
with carbon, and everyone's tap water has a different starting point with available carbon.
Yeah. And I mean, just to give you some idea of how important CO2 is. So I went on vacation, and sometime in that 2 weeks, my CO2 ran out.
Mm-hmm.
See these plants in the front? These are Blixa japonica.
Did you lose them?
They looked amazing before I left. And now they look like crap. And that's because they went. So I have CO2 back on again because Jake and I changed out the bottle yesterday. So they're going to recover. But like, it took no time for that plant to look terrible. And it's not because like, oh, I didn't give them any potassium while I was gone. Because I didn't fertilize while I was gone. Because I'm not going to have my house sitter do that. Like, she needs to focus on the cats. Yeah. But like, you know, they look like crap because they didn't get any CO2. Like, CO2 and light are what matters most. So that is my...
A lot of things can happen. Like, I mean, when you run those like razor's edge systems, a lot of things can happen when you're not there to maintain it. Like if you have a bunch of like super fast growing plants and you still have the CO2 running, your nutrients can bottom out, and you can lose plants that way. You can also have plants that just go absolutely nuts and shade out your other like sensitive, delicate plants. And yeah, I mean, it's like running the high end systems do require work. So I think you found a balance, and I'm doing different things. Like some are more balanced, some are even like completely hands off, and then other ones I'm like just in there every freaking day, tinkering around, making sure everything is going well. Yeah.
So, and Uncle Smiley says, my giant Anubias is blooming in my dark water tank with no CO2 and no ferts. Doesn't take much for Anubias to bloom, and it's not necessarily happy because it's blooming. It's just blooming because it's blooming, because plants want to do sexual reproduction. That's all there is to it. It's, you know, adding more light isn't necessarily going to give you more flowers. I mean, I have flowers right now on my Anubias, but there's no correlation with that. And Anubias does not need a lot of light. In fact, it would prefer to be a little more shaded.
Yeah.
So, but it loves CO2. Loves it.
Even with CO2, it still prefers the shading. So Moose would like to know, how did we meet?
How did we meet? I think we met in Bentley's stream. I'm pretty sure.
Either Bentley or Dan's.
Yeah.
One of those.
Probably a little both at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean, we would chat in that. And I think what happened was I reached out to you to be your backup singer.
Oh, because you recommended the Melanitania picta.
Yeah, and I'm like, right. And you said you were gonna do a song for him. I'm like, well, I'll sing backup for you, which I'm not the world's greatest singer, but I had to be part of it. So, and then you, I mean, we would message each other some, and then you asked me to stream this. And thus our friendship was born. So, yeah. And then like
2021, 2020, I don't even know.
Maybe 20. I mean, how many years have we been? I think that we probably met in 2021 or maybe 2020 even. I think 2020, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we started this stream in
2022.
Yeah. We've done a lot of episodes of it.
Yep.
A lot of episodes.
We'll be close to
Yeah.
3 years of it, like coming in the next few months, I think.
Oh, like 100 episodes. Haven't we done over 100?
Yeah, we're at 111 today, I believe. Let me see.
It's one of the longer running
Yep.
streams in FishTube. I mean, we just keep doing it.
So,
yeah.
man, we're going.
I mean, I might die, so I don't know.
Let's get through these questions. So save your lungs and your voice.
I know.
And we can cut this one short.
Yeah.
And I believe Mexicali is going live and interviewing Stefan from Lush and Salty in like 15 minutes. Awesome. So people head over there.
And then Scotty, you can ask him about his cat.
Yep. An hour and 15. Scotty goes live. Hagen Hill goes live. Steenfot goes live. Tons and tons and tons of Monday streams. And then Tuesday.
You don't need my sick ass.
And I got to go help paint anyway. So let's see. How much per? Well, I think is per like a different thing. Is it like another kind of? Is it like usable? Hold on.
I don't know, but I'll just say this: every plant is different, right? I mean, some plants want to be more shaded. Anubias would like to be more shaded than, say, like Rotala's. They really would like a lot of light. It's just like outdoors. Some plants like a little more shade, like hostas. They get scalded and they look terrible if you plant them in full sun.
Photosynthetic usable radiation. Who cares?
Who cares? God, I don't care at all today. It just depends on the plant. I mean, I mean, you can scald any plant. It's kind of difficult to do in an aquarium, especially a deep aquarium. But, they'll look crispy if they're scalded.
Let's see.
He boy said, I thought Kelly didn't bring any diseases back from Germany. I don't think this is from Germany. I think I got sick.
Yeah, because it's been a week.
Yeah, and I felt fine until I was coughing some this weekend, but I thought it was just my asthma acting up. I think, but maybe I was sick. I don't know. But yeah, I think I got something here. Maybe at the grocery store, maybe at yoga. I don't know.
Okay, the siesta question: is turning your lights off for a couple hours during the day a viable option to adding a bit of CO2? Does it have a noticeable effect?
I don't think it has a noticeable effect. I mean, Steven does it, but for different reasons. He does it for aesthetic reasons.
Turning it off, and I do no siestas. I am just straight up. If I want to look at my tank for 15 hours, it's got a 15-hour photo period, and I will adjust everything else around it. I'll do the ramp up. It's not like you just gotta account for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, like a lot of our plants are tropical plants. A lot of our tanks are tropical tanks. So they get 12 hours of sun every day. And there's not a lot of ramp up. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to the tropics, but like the sun comes up hard and it goes down fast. Like it's not this gradual increase like we get way up in the north.
Yeah.
So
I run them dim, so it's not like full blast for 15, 16 hours, but I still, if I want to wake up and see my tank, I'm not going to limit the photo period. Now on the plant farm, it's just utilitarian. I just, I think it's maybe nine hours or so. It's got 2 co-op lights on it, and they are on at 100% each, and it's the surface of the sun in that tank, and for another one that I blast CO2 and fertilize the crap out of. Because
I have 3 Fluval 3.0s on this 40. They're on 100% with like a 20-minute ramp up. I mean, it's not much. I have them on 10 hours. I could probably go 12 hours, whatever, but it seems to be working fine.
Brandon's got a ton of horny Anubias.
I mean, flowers are for sexual reproduction for plants. Plants flower for lots of reasons. Some of them flower seasonally. Like a lot of flowers we grow outside, they flower seasonally. So some of them require vernalization, which means a cold period. So like tulips would be an example of that. Some of them flower in response to light period, which a lot of things do, photo period. Some of them flower in response to stress. So
yeah, I've wondered that about Boost, just because
I
he
have
doesn't
two.
like being underwater, and it
Yeah.
flowers like crazy for me.
Yeah, that's a plant that
It's
flowers
just
a
it
lot.
wants to reproduce and leave. That's what it
But I
wants to
don't
do.
think necessarily your plants are happy because they're flowering.
No, not
This
necessarily.
depends. I mean, some of them maybe, but most of your underwater plants are pretty unhappy. Unless they're an obligate underwater plant, which most of them are not. Most of them would rather be growing above the
So I
water.
have either like super happy or super sad Aponigeton and Boost. Those are the ones that flower a lot for me.
Yeah, that one flowers a lot. When I had it growing, I would say that one flowered a lot. I get a lot of Anubias flowers. This Payday Pearl flowers a lot. I don't think it's
So
correlated to plant happiness at all.
Branton, with his very high KH water, he's tried the Siesta thing, and that's the issue with, like, if you're trying to bring in just atmospheric CO2 in high KH water, none of that CO2 is going to be usable.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So you're just kind of sacrificing view time of the tank if you're down there, and you go down there in the afternoon and everything is off because of the Siesta. I don't know. I prioritize enjoying the tanks over most other things.
Yeah.
That's why all my tanks are heavily stocked. Most things have a long photo period if I have them in bedrooms and living rooms and stuff.
Yeah, and I do too. I mean, I have the lights on from like noon to 10 because that's a good time for me to look at my tanks.
Yeah.
I have the CO2 come on about an hour beforehand just to get it, and then it comes off an hour before the lights because it doesn't need it at that point. And yeah, I mean, I do a photo period designed for me to enjoy looking at it and for the fish's comfort. They don't mind having lights on for 10, 12 hours a day, but they would mind them on for 24 hours a day. Like, they need to sleep. That's why I don't use blue lights. Fish need to sleep. I don't want blue lights blasting at my eyeballs when I'm trying to sleep. So
Does algae have more rubisco than plants?
I mean, it depends on the plant, depends on the algae. So rubisco is the enzyme. It's the most abundant it's the most abundant enzyme on Earth. It fixes CO2.
And
It can
oxygen
also
as well.
and oxygen during times of water stress. It will fix oxygen, or for terrestrial plants, so water stress. So CO2 stress, it could start fixing oxygen instead of CO2. The rubisco is always there in the plant and it will fix something. It's a very inefficient enzyme. I had a plant physiology professor who used to always joke that he could almost like write down the reactions in pencil and paper faster than that enzyme turns over. So some enzymes will turn over like thousands of times per second, which means that like the substrate comes in, it does its thing, and the products release. Okay, that's one turn, and then it can have substrates bind it again and do its thing. So some enzymes turn over really, really fast. They're really efficient. Okay, rubisco is really slow. It takes like probably over a second, maybe even a couple seconds for cleaving CO2 or for fixing CO2.
So it's
So
kind of like a shotgun approach of just like there's a bunch of that
it's just
enzyme
really
trying to.
shitty. It's really shitty and it doesn't work that good. it makes up for it by having a lot of it. And
Right.
your terrestrial plants have a lot of it too. It's the most abundant enzyme on Earth. Now, do algae have more of it? I don't know that that's true because plants have a ton of it too. I think the CO2 is the Siesta is just garbage because I don't really see any evidence from anyone that it works. And if you want to do it, like if it makes reviewing pleasure, if you want to have a siesta in the middle of the day just because you're not home in the middle of the day, well, more power to you. I think it's a little weird for your fish though, because they don't have siestas. Like that's not natural for them. Like fish that are from the tropics, they have, boom, 12 hours of sun, done. That's what they are evolved to have. They're not evolved to have a siesta. I mean, will it hurt them? No, but maybe if you're trying to breed something, maybe it'll mess them up a little. I don't know. So I've never felt a need to do
it. Kyle is getting CO2 curious, and I think if you are one who sells plants for profit, like you need CO2 injection the most if you want the highest turnover.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would bother. I mean, if
you're growing them casually and you're just selling your excess, that's one thing. But like if you're trying to make a plant business,
you can't
inject
make
all
money
the CO2.
without CO2. I mean, unless you're like importing plants and flipping them, but those are just immersed plants that people don't convert anyways. Like, but if you look at the aquarium co-op warehouse, they inject CO2.
Oh yeah.
It's just kind of what you need to do. So Mike says everyone deserves a siesta. I deserve a siesta. I think I'm gonna take one. I think we're about done.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any more in me.
I think let me see. I'm just setting up the send over to Mexicali and Lush and Salty, and it should send people over in soon. Because we're gonna go ahead and say goodbye so that Kelly can have some soup or some honey or a lung transplant or whatever is needed.
I have shitty lungs. Maybe if you're my secret Santa, you could send me some new ones. They're not great. So yeah. But thank you everyone, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope if you're a Thanksgiving celebrator, have a wonderful day with your families and your friends. So
indeed.
And when we get back, it's just about my birthday. So
oh yeah,
because my birthday is December 4th, but it doesn't fall on a stream day this year. So Jody P.
Oh wait, I gotta see. I gotta see what happens.
Do we have any members? Oh,
I have to look on the other side, on the YouTube side. I did. I think it would gift maybe one. I don't know. Waiting for the chat to load, and then we'll send people over.
I mean, we gotta see.
Yeah. Freaking YouTube chat. Come on.
Looks like there's 5, Candy says.
We got 4. So, okay. Well, what? It completely capped out. And then I went down by 1 member on Friday, after Friday. And so now that doesn't make any sense. But okay. Thank you very much, Jody.
Well, thank you, Jody. That's very nice of you. And welcome new members. If you're lurking out there, de-lurk. I won't get you sick. There's internet between us.
Well, there we go. Mr. B CPD is just unlurked.
Oh, welcome. That's nice. I love all these secret lurkers.
Yeah.
It's great.
And then real quick, I'm going to see what that brought me to with the member totals. So I'm at 302 members now. Hey, that means I can add a new emoji.
Oh, that's exciting. I wonder what you'll add.
I don't know. A placeholder until I can add something else, maybe? I don't know.
Well, because they won't take away your emojis.
Exactly. So you just add a placeholder. Yeah. So cool. Thank you very much, Jody. 302. Awesome. Alrighty.
All right. Oh, we had one question. If
Oh,
we tried contra sand, is that do you mean contra soil, like UNS contra soil?
is there like a sand version of it or a finer?
There's a
There's a
really
super
fine
fine.
version. I've used it. It
I
works
have
good.
it.
It's super rich. Super rich. Make sure
Yeah.
you do daily water changes for probably your first 2 weeks with it because it's super rich. But it
If
works
it's some,
great.
yeah, something labeled contra sand, I've never
I've never
heard.
heard
So
of it. But contra soil.
okay.
Yeah, I haven't used if they have a sand, I've never used it. I've used their fine contra soil and it's good.
Alrighty. Thanks everybody coming and see y'all later.
Bye
Bye.
everyone.